following program, NORML Show Live, is intended for responsible adults only. We advocate for the repeal of marijuana prohibition for adults. We discuss the science, culture, and controversy about America's marijuana laws. We do not advocate or encourage any illegal activity and advise all listeners to learn their state and federal marijuana laws by visiting NORML.org, NORML.org. Opinions and claims made by guests and advertisers of NORML Show Live are their own and do not necessarily reflect the philosophy and policies of NORML. Listener discretion is advised.
You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it, and it goes down smooth. Hey!
Spanning the continent to bring you the truth about cannabis and marijuana law reform.
I smoke pot and I like it a lot.
From the promise of legalization.
And I think we need to rethink and decriminalize our marijuana laws.
To the agony of prohibition.
One major responsibility is to encourage people to use less drugs.
The National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws presents NORML Show Live, Marijuana Nation. Now, here's your host, NORML's Outreach Coordinator, Radical Russ Belden.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back. It is Friday, July 16th, 2010, and it's got to be 420 somewhere in the world. Thanks for joining us for the next 60 minutes of news, talk, interviews, information, music, comedy, and more by, for, and about the cannabis community. We're coming to you live and direct from Rolla J Studios in beautiful Portland, Oregon, home of the 2010 NORML National Conference, which we'll be talking about in depth today at the end of our show. Alan St. Pierre, the executive director of NORML, is here to announce the official launch of the 2010 NORML National Conference page. You can register now online, and we'll talk all about it at 45 after the hour. Also joining us from our virtual studio in beautiful Astoria, Oregon, my good friend and half sister, Cannabis Carrie.
You cannot tell we're so excited about the conference coming up this fall. Oh my gosh.
I am thrilled, and sorry for getting you on the line late there, Carrie. I looked up, it was 5 minutes till showtime. I had no suit on. I had nothing connected to run. You should have seen me running around here trying to get ready.
But yeah, you pull it off. You do it every time. I love it.
Oh, it's an amazing thing. Who said us stoners can't get our stuff together, huh? All right, coming up. I was just thinking
you looked very, very nice today, Russ.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, I'm in a celebratory mood. Before we get to the hemp headlines that Carrie does right after our first break, I have important, earth-shattering breaking news happening just now. It is official. The state of Oregon will be voting on medical marijuana dispensaries this November. Yes, we just got the news from the Statesman Journal. The Secretary of State, Kate Brown, has announced today that the dispensary measure, Initiative 28, has collected more than 82,769 valid signatures. This would amend the Medical Marijuana Act here in Oregon, which does not allow for the purchase of medical marijuana. This would allow the Department of Human Services to issue licenses to dispensaries where marijuana can be obtained. Next week, we hope to have Anthony Johnson, one of the chief petitioners of the successful initiative, on the show to explain more about it. But getting back to the hemp headlines, Carrie, what else do you have to tell us in the news today?
Well, our news is a little weird today. We're going to talk about some fashion blogging, if you can believe that. Also, we're going to go to Michigan, where a court of appeals is sending a case back down to the lower courts. And then I've got a couple of stories. One from the European Union that put out a decision this week. And also, we're going to cover, just barely scratch the surface of the docudrama that is unfolding in New Jersey.
All right. All sorts of information coming up right after our first break. Want to encourage folks also, if you have a cannabis-related business or product that you'd like to get the information out on to a very niche audience of very dedicated cannabis consumers, you can advertise with us here at NORML Show Live and on our sister blog, the NORML Stash blog at stash.norml.org. just send me an email at stash@normal.org. We are completely advertiser and contributor supported, so your business can help us continue to bring the growing truth about cannabis to a larger audience. Also, want to remind everybody that today we'll be doing our Celeb Stoner Entertainment Report. Been a while since we've spoken to Steve Bloom out there in New York City. He's got all sorts of information on celebrity drug busts and the launch of his new book on reefer movie madness. So it'll be a lot of fun talking to Steve today. And again, Alan St. Pierre at 45 after. It's also Daily Toker Tune Day for Rockin' Friday. Music from Johnny Beef, you see, coming up on today's show.
You're listening to NORML Show Live, the voice of the marijuana nation.
Georgia. Hi, this is Willie Nelson, and I need your help. Alcohol prohibition didn't work in the 20s, and marijuana prohibition isn't working today. It's time we stop arresting law-abiding citizens because they prefer marijuana over alcohol. Nearly 2,000 Americans are arrested every day on marijuana charges. We're unfairly destroying the lives and careers of hundreds of thousands of people each year simply because they smoke marijuana. These are not criminals. They're average citizens like you, good neighbors who work hard, raise families, pay taxes, and contribute to their communities. We need your help to end marijuana prohibition once and for all. It's the fair thing to do.
For more information, contact NORML, the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws. Call toll-free 888-67-NORML or visit their website at norml.org.
Medical marijuana, industrial hemp, consumer cannabis. It's time for this week's NORML News with Cannabis Carrie.
Fashion blogger who began her fashion blog, StyleRookie.com, when she was 11. Her parents found out about her popular blog when she had to ask them permission to appear in an issue of New York Times Magazine. At 14, she is now passed beyond a novelty and has styled fashion editorials for magazines and has legions of fans, both young and old. So how does a 14-year-old fashion blogger make a story on NORML Show Live? Well, 17 Magazine, one of the most popular fashion and culture magazines for teenage girls, had a line on the cover of their June and July issue that said, "The party drug that can make you fat and ugly." If you looked up the story inside, it was all about marijuana. Tabby took issue with the fat and ugly line used to provoke young girls struggling with body image. She took to her very own popular blog to write the magazine an open letter about it. Here is an excerpt from that letter. Fat is a descriptive term. It's not a negative thing if that is what is healthiest for a person, and I am talking actual health, not like how your health section is really just code for skinny. She goes on by trying to discourage the use of drugs with the threats that it will make someone fat and ugly. You're saying the worst thing that can happen to your average reader, a teenage girl, as a result of drug use is not that he or she will have any damage done to her brain or become unhappy, but that her appearance will suffer. Again, being fat does not mean bad appearance, but that is what you imply. Now, she finished out her letter with this gem. Popular culture and the media, two things teenagers especially breathe, have quite a bit to do with the way teenage girls are expected to value beauty over all else. You, 17 Magazine, do too, and you have an influence, so use it. I know your intentions are good, but there are ways to discourage drug use without taking away from another important message. Teenage girls are worth more than looks, and we don't need another media outlet telling us otherwise. So I just wanted to give that to you, some reefer madness dispelled by a 14-year-old girl using common sense to discourage teenagers from using substances, including marijuana, instead of misleading, emotional, and fact-free threats.
I think that's wonderful. What a great article that this girl came up with. And again, this idea that we want to discourage kids from using cannabis by saying it'll make them fat and ugly is not the way to go about it. It's not any better than the ways that we're using now, which is to say it'll make you grow man boobs, or you won't be able to have kids, or you'll turn out to be a loser for the rest of your life. All the typical reefer madness that we feed young people about use of cannabis. I always say that there's a real simple way to explain to young people why it would be best for them to wait. I mean, the old joke is there's a time and place for everything, and that place is college. But there is a certain kernel of truth to that. The studies that we have on the developing adolescent brain have shown that frequent, heavy, chronic cannabis use among young people is not good for the developing adolescent brain. It does show some cognitive declines in their later adult years if they get involved with marijuana too early and too much as a young person. So the way I would convince kids is to explain to them that as an adolescent, you're high enough already. You're already high. You're on so many hormones and changes going on in your body that you don't even have a real good grasp of reality when you're sober, much less try to altering your reality. As a young person, you need to learn how to experience your emotions free from any chemical interference. It's the first time you've ever fell in love. It's the first time you've had your heart broken. It's the first time you've experienced great joy or great sadness or great regret. You need to understand how to experience those things naturally, how to feel those things, and how to build your character and your personality without the influence of drugs or alcohol. Now, I know that young people are going to use drugs and alcohol. It's shown in all the statistics, and even in my personal life. I started drinking when I was 16 years old. I really wish I'd have used cannabis instead of alcohol when I was 16 years old. But overall, if we're going to explain to our young people the need for them to stay sober until they've understood reality, until their brains are set, until their personalities are molded to the adults they're going to be, it's best that they hold off on trying anything like cannabis, alcohol, any of the other drugs out there. But young people, if you are listening to me today and you are the kind of person who's using alcohol or cannabis, please be careful. Please be moderate in your use. And if you can at all avoid it, don't use it all. Whoops, wrong button. Let's try this one.
Am I done already?
Not quite.
A Michigan man will face drug charges according to the Michigan Appeals Court, who ruled this week that the state's medical marijuana law cannot be used retroactively. A Tuscola County judge had earlier dismissed charges against Keith Campbell, who had been arrested with 9 marijuana plants in 2007, a year before Michigan had an active medical marijuana law on the books. His attorney had filed a motion to have the case dismissed after Campbell was charged in December of 2007 with manufacturing marijuana possession with intent to deliver and also possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony, along with the possession of marijuana charge. Campbell said that his marijuana use was medicinal, and the lower court agreed and tossed the charges. Prosecutors took the case to a higher court, where the 3-panel judges disagreed with the lower court, saying the trial judge had erred in citing a 2006 California Supreme Court case that authorized retroactive application of medical marijuana laws. In the ruling that came out on Wednesday, the judges said, "We recognize that cases from foreign jurisdictions, which are not binding, can be persuasive. However, the outcome in the California case is inconsistent with Michigan law." The appeals court went on to say that there are defenses to possessing marijuana if the drug is to use to ease illness, but notes there is nothing in the law allowing it to be applied retroactively. Keith Campbell will now have to face another trial in the lower court and answer to the original charges against him.
What a strange series of twists and turns in that case there as far as the medical marijuana and retroactiveness. We see this in other states, too, where we had in New Jersey the case of John Ray Wilson, who was busted for cultivating medical marijuana. And had he just been busted, a year or two later, he wouldn't be a criminal. It's always so strange when we have laws changing like this and we have people that are caught in the cracks or caught in between the coverage of the law or just because of the time that they happen to be caught. Such a shame, but we'll keep an eye on that story and give you more information as it develops.
A European court has upheld a Dutch border city's decision to ban foreigners from its cannabis cafes. The city of Maastricht is on the southeastern border of Holland, across from Belgium and near the German border as well. Town officials wanted to stop the influx of cannabis tourists that equal about 4,000 every single day, who come to the coffee shops where the clientele is about 70% foreign. The coffee shop owners tried to block the move, saying that by restricting their customers cigars to the citizens of the Netherlands only, the city was violating European Union laws on free movement and free trade. The EU Court's Advocate General disagreed this week, saying that the rules do not apply in this case because marijuana is illegal in every other country in the EU.
Yeah, the rules do not apply because according to Lucy's rule, John Lucy, my attorney, Lucy's rule is when it comes to drugs, logic and reason do not apply. Don't know why they'd want to cut down on the business from the foreign travelers. Of course, the logical solution would be for the other countries in the EU to have a tolerant policy like the Netherlands. The only reason they're going to the Netherlands is because it's the only place they can be not treated as criminals.
And in the docudrama that is the New Jersey medical marijuana program, lawmakers are getting behind an idea to make Rutgers University the supply center for the first legal medicinal marijuana in the state, a role that the university isn't particularly interested in. Senator Nicholas Scutari said he is working with Governor Chris Christie, who has been touting the Rutgers idea as a way to get the program moving more quickly than the slow pace, which has already moved the program back months with no clear plan in sight. Meanwhile, Robert Goodman, the dean of the Agricultural Experiment Station, said his organization does not want to become a producer of marijuana or any other crop for that matter. For universities that depend on federal funding, growing cannabis might not be an option, even if your governor thinks that it is.
Yeah, let's put it all at Rutgers University. There's so many problems with that, and you kind of briefly mentioned here that they have the federal entanglements at Rutgers University as a teaching university. Lots of other problems in that, do you really want to have your marijuana producer be one location? We've already seen what we have when we have a university producing marijuana. We've got it at the University of Mississippi. At the University of Mississippi, they have the government's pot farm. Yes, the federal government has a pot farm at the University of Mississippi. Thanks to the 1961 Single Convention Treaty on Drugs, all countries that are to manufacture cannabis have to do so at one location, and that cannabis has to be taken into possession by the governmental agency. So to fulfill that statutory requirement of the treaty, the University of Mississippi produces the government's pot. The government's pot is produced for 4 remaining patients on the Investigative Compassionate New Drug Program. This is a program from 1978 that allowed people to get medical marijuana. There's still 4 people living today: Irv Rosenfeld in Florida, Elvie Musica here in Oregon, and 2 others who tend to remain anonymous, are receiving federal government weed, and they complain about the quality of it because the federal government just grows the worst possible weed they can grow. They take the entire crop, stems, seeds, leaves and all, grind it all up and roll it into cannabis cigarettes. 300 cannabis cigarettes distributed in a tin that Irv picks up every month from his pharmacy. Yes, from his pharmacy. Let me put that, a regular old pharmacy where you can get, any other prescription. You can get marijuana at these pharmacies because it's federal marijuana. Elvie Music in Oregon, same situation. She's picking up this weed every month in tins from her pharmacy. So the New Jersey program, they're continuing to throw all these roadblocks into implementing the program. Originally, the program was supposed to be implemented within 180 days of passage. Now they're giving them a longer term to try to get the program organized. Republican Governor Chris Christie, had he had his way, probably wouldn't have even signed the medical marijuana law. Turns out it was signed by his predecessor, Governor John Corzine, the Democrat, signed on his last day in office. And then, of course, Chris Christie, the Republican, takes office and now has to implement this law. He doesn't want to implement it. He's doing everything he can through his administration to try to block the implementation of this law. It's so frustrating because part of how this law was written, it was written to protect people who are terminal, people who have less than 12 months to live. So if we continue to delay this law, these people for whom the law was written will die before they get the protections of the law. That's cruel and unusual punishment, Governor Christie. There's no reason to have these sorts of delays. You've got 14 medical marijuana states in this country where you could pick and choose and look through how they're running their programs and how they manage to make medicine available to patients and how they manage to grow medicine. Look at the state of New Mexico. They've got a situation set up there where they have 5 licensed distributors, I believe, that are allowed to produce cannabis, although I think they've only got one that's actually active at the moment. We'll have to check on the details of that. Look close to the state of Rhode Island, just north of you. They've got medical marijuana, and they are registering dispensaries to distribute the marijuana to patients. There is no reason why New Jersey's law, which is already the most restrictive law in the country, the only medical marijuana law that does not allow the patient to grow their own medicine at home, there is no reason for them to continue to stall on the implementation of this law. Law420.com. Hello, I'm Russ Belville, Outreach Coordinator for NORML. In my job, I read literally hundreds of headlines each month involving nonviolent, productive citizens whose lives are ripped apart by a marijuana or drug arrest. Many citizens could avoid arrest by refusing police searches and remaining silent, but police are well trained to confuse and intimidate. That's why you have a right to speak to an attorney before answering any police questions. I hope you never need to exercise that right, but if you do, make your first call to the law offices of John C. Lucy IV. John Lucy is an accomplished criminal defense attorney with expertise in Oregon's medical marijuana law. John Lucy understands and respects cannabis and drug consumers of all backgrounds. Call John C. Lucy IV at 503-227-6000 or visit in downtown Portland. Address available at law420.com. That's John C. Lucy IV at 503-227-6000 or visit law420.com today. Oh, everything got mixed up here in the old player, but we can't have a 420 break without our 420 music from the Harlem Experiment. We're celebrating here in Oregon. We're voting on dispensaries this November. We're right back after this.
It's 20 after the hour, and we have to take a short break, if you know what I mean. Please support these sponsors who support NORML Show Live.
Oh, have you ever met that funny reefer man? A reefer man. Have you ever met that funny reefer man? A reefer man. If he said he swam to China, he would say to South Carolina. Then you know you're talking to that reefer man.
High as a kite, everybody.
This drug in front of me is what they call marijuana.
If we had a dime for every dime bag bought in America, marijuana would be legal by now. Donate to NORML at NORML.org and support NORML Show Live.
It's going too light.
Roll a big fatty.
It's time for your Daily Toker Tunes, the best in 420-friendly music from all genres that uplifts, entertains, and informs the public. Our pod-safe music is donated by freedom-loving musicians who support our goal of ending adult marijuana prohibition. Today we take you into the weekend with Rockin' Friday, our segment featuring the best rock, metal, punk, and jam band music. Brought to you by Eric Smokesbud in Madison, Wisconsin. If you'd like to submit your song to be played on NORML Show Live, send it to us at stash@norml.org or mail your CD to NORML Outreach, 4110 Southeast Hawthorne Boulevard, number 161, Portland, Oregon, 97214. Now, here's some great independent marijuana music for today's Daily Toker Tunes.
This week I'm featuring a 3-time Marijuana Music Award winner, as well as a High Times Unsigned Band of the Week, and happens to be our very own Irie Wednesday editor, Johnny Reeferseed, and his band, the High Rollers. The song is a reeferized version of the Four Tops' 1966 hit, Reach Out, I'll Be There. The first thing you'll notice is that Johnny has taken some liberties with the lyrics and put his own stoner twist on them. They also threw in a couple guitar solos and topped it off with a whole heap of patented red-eyed soul. The end result is a fantastic song to toke to, and with a little luck may bring Johnny and the High Rollers another Marijuana Music Award for 2010. Good luck, guys. Here is Johnny Reeferseed and the High Rollers with I'll Be There.
We're rolling.
All right.
big fat sack. Where there's kind buds, I'll be there. I'll reach out my blunt to you. I'll fill your bone with fresh water too. When you need a bong hit, I'll be there. And I'll be there to comfort you with them northern lights shining. I'll do a lifetime. And I'll be there with the buzz so strong. Just take one hit, baby. You'll be a holding on. Let me roll a joint with 4 papers. Yeah, we'll get high on Mother Nature. When you want to smoke a fatty, I'll be there. And I'll be there to protect you. When the cops come to call, you know I'll always take the fall. But if you need some bail money, I'll be there. And I'll be there to comfort you with them northern lights shining. We'll do a lifetime. And I'll be there with the buzz so strong. Just take one hit, baby. You'll be a holding on. If you should ever find someone who's got a bigger bong, well, I guess that's cool. But if it smokes that brick weed, I'll be there. I'll be there. I'll be there, yeah. If it smokes that brick weed, I'll be there. Just look over your shoulder, honey.
Johnny Lee proceeded the High Rollers with their cover of I'll Be There. I love the tweak in the lyrics. That's very nice. You can get this download and our other Daily Toaster tunes from our Stash blog at stash.normal.org. Look in the menu under Media and then Tunes. Steve Bloom coming up next.
It only comes twice a day, but I don't care. It's 4:20 somewhere.
All right, folks, time to check out NORML's Cannabis Community Calendar, which you can find at normal.org/calendar. First and foremost, later today, in about 3 hours at 4:45 p.m. Pacific Time, I'll be participating in the Oregon CLE seminar on medical marijuana. This is happening at the Benson Hotel here in Portland, Oregon. At 4:45, myself and Madeline Martinez, Executive Director of Oregon NORML, will be doing a presentation, a 45-minute PowerPoint on legalization in in Oregon. I'm going to bring the studio equipment. We'll see if we can stream it live right here on Normal Show Live, and cross your fingers. Hope they've got Wi-Fi there. If they do, we're streaming live at 4:45. If not, I'll record it and have it up on the Stash blog later this weekend. All right, checking out the calendar of events nationwide. Today, Friday, July 16th, we're encouraging everyone in the state of Michigan to get in touch with Michigan NORML at MINormal.org. They're trying to recruit people for the statewide Adopt a Highway pickup. This is where local NORML chapters put their name on one of those Adopt a Highway signs. It's a great way to show the public that we're interested in more than just marijuana legalization. Again, check out Michigan NORML at MINormal.org. On Saturday, tomorrow, July 17th, we're having Cass County's Compassion Club meeting. This is also in Michigan at the Cass District Library. You can get information by calling 269-262-4004 or check the email addresses and web links at our calendar, normal.org/calendar. Kansas City NORML is also having their public meeting at the Westport Coffee House in Kansas City, Missouri. They always meet there every month, and they'll have flyers for their fundraiser and for HempFest. For more information, check out kcnormal.org or call 888-KC-NORML. West Michigan Compassion Committee meeting is also happening at Scotty's Lounge on Saturday in Muskegon, Michigan. Check out muskegonnormal.org for more information. And next weekend, next Saturday, I will be flying to Las Vegas, Nevada to participate in the Netroots Nation Conference. This is the 5th annual conference of the Progressive Blogosphere. It was originally called Yearly Co's, and it features bloggers from all over the left wing, including Daily Co's, Huffington Post, Talking Points Memo, and so many others. But I'm most excited about the fact that the keynote speaker that evening will be this gentleman.
Because I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and doggone it, people like me.
That's right. Senator Al Franken from the great state of Minnesota will be the keynote speaker. I'm really hoping to get a word in with the senator to talk a little bit about the war on drugs. That'll be the subject of the panel that I'm participating in Las Vegas. This is a panel on marijuana politics and policy. I'll be on the panel along with Stephen Gutwillig from the Drug Policy Alliance, Major Neil Franklin from LEAP, and Ryan Grimm, the writer from the Huffington Post, also the author of This Is Your Country on Drugs. It'll be a great panel, and again, cross your fingers. If I can manage to get the Wi-Fi access, we will stream that live on Normal Show Live as well. For more information on all of our NORML calendar of events, just check out the NORML calendar of events at norml.org/calendar. Normal Show Live is brought to you by our advertisers and supported by the generous tax-deductible donations of our listeners. If you'd like to make a monetary donation to the show, visit secure.normal.org/donate. Fill in the dollar amount and specify Normal Show Live in the comments. If you'd like to donate equipment or items to be used for prize promotions on the show, please send them to 4110 Southeast Hawthorne Boulevard, number 161, Portland, Oregon, 97214. If you need a receipt for tax deduction purposes, please indicate the value of the items you are donating. Thank you for contributing to the fight for your own freedom. Hey, thanks everybody who's asking about Ganja John. He's just not on the show today, just taking the day off, trying to relax and get well. He'll be back next week.
Starfish Designs, makers of the original Gandalf.
I'm Radical Russ, and when I want to relax, I always have my 17-inch long original Gandalf from Starfish Designs nearby. The hand-blown borosilicate glass is strong and easy to clean, and the design is sleek and sophisticated. Starfish Designs are available from Bend, Oregon at a glass retailer near you. For locations, call 541-788-GLASS. That's 541-788-4527. Marijuana culture is infused throughout America and the world. As we round out the week, we take a look at the 420 phenomenon in movies, TV, music, and sports with former High Times editor and author of Pot Culture, Steve Bloom, in our CelebStoner.com entertainment news. All right, everybody, 34 after the hour. Welcome back to the show. And it's been a long time since I've been on vacation and on the road, but we're joined once again from New York City by Steve Bloom, the webmaster behind CelebStoner.com. Steve, welcome back to the show.
Hey there, Russ. How are you? I miss you.
Oh, I missed you too, man. A whole lot of stuff going on, so we better just jump right into it. The celebrity drug busts that have been going on over this summer, it seems like there's been an increase.
There has been a rise in arrests starting back in June when Chase Crawford from Gossip Girl got arrested in Texas. Since then, there have been 7 other arrests. They're sort of high profile. In your neck of the woods, University of Oregon quarterback Jeremiah Masoli was kicked off his team after a pot arrest in June 7th. On June 11th, the rapper Kid Cudi was charged with criminal mischief and possession of a controlled substance after a domestic incident in New York. On the 30th of June, Tennessee Titans quarterback Chris Sims was charged with operating a vehicle under the influence of drugs, marijuana, during a traffic stop in New York. Down in Brazil, on July 1st, a Brazilian reggae musician, Pedro Catano de Silva, was charged with trafficking after police confiscated 12 plants in his backyard. He was just released from jail. They put him in jail for that. He was in jail for a week. More high profile was the Paris Hilton arrest at the World Cup, which was pretty interesting because, Paris is a known pot smoker. She's smoked in public numerous times, been photographed doing it over and over and over again. And this time she was at the World Cup, and it was at the game, the Holland game, where they moved on to beat Brazil. And apparently her and her girlfriend, Jennifer Rivera, who's a former playmate, were smoking in the crowd, and that got the attention of security guards. And afterwards, when she was sitting in a luxury bus to head back to the hotel, they took both of them off the bus and arrested them. They ultimately found pot in Jennifer Rivera's bag, so they ended up dropping the charge against Paris and charging her girlfriend. So you would kind of say that Jennifer took the rap for Paris. Yeah. So Paris got off on this. And then more recently, July 4th, there was an arrest of Jamarcus Russell on a codeine cough syrup charge. Russell is no longer with the Raiders. He's a free agent, or he was dropped before that happened. And also recently, it was an interesting arrest of Dimitri Young, a former baseball player who was charged with marijuana and paraphernalia possession when he was caught with marijuana in an airport. He's a bench coach for a minor league in Illinois, and he's a former All-Star player. And he says after all his years playing, he's 36 now. For all his aches and pains, he uses marijuana. He got caught with pot at the airport. So nothing since then. That's July 5th. But it seems to indicate a rise. Now maybe it's the time of the year. People are out about more. They're just partying more. Maybe they're a little more vulnerable. But it just seemed like there was definitely a rise. There've been, I would say, a good 20, 25 arrests already this year.
You've been covering these for a long time now. Is this the biggest, 1 month type of celebrity bust record or something?
Well, I noticed it. I don't really always, do a month. I don't usually do a monthly report, but once I saw one after the other, especially, Chase Crawford's a pretty well-known guy. He's coming out in a movie next month called 12 where he plays a drug dealer, so it's interesting that he plays that. And also his role on Gossip Girl, kind of a stoner role. So that kind of got things going. And then, the bigger high profile, like Chris Sims, NFL quarterback, Paris Hilton, so it just seems like right now there's a rash of them. I'm not going to say that it's going to continue like this, but it just happened to be from the beginning of the June to early, 5 weeks period, there seemed to be a lot of arrests all at once. So maybe it's coincidence, but just, it's way too many for anybody's standards.
Was there any information on what happened to Paris Hilton's friend Jennifer? Is she okay, or what's she going to be facing?
Well, she was supposed to be thrown out of the country, but I think they left anyway. So, she was, she paid a fine, $130 fine or something like that. Apparently, I'm guessing. Nobody knows because Paris hasn't talked about it and probably won't. But you got to guess that, she was there with her friend. Now, maybe Paris said, hey, you got to take this. Because, listen, if Paris gets busted, she can't do her traveling all over the world. She's going to have passport problems and everything. Right. So, so I guess, her friend, most likely took the rap. Although, you would think if they're together, hanging out, and they're smoking together, it sort of belongs to both of them. I mean, who acquired the marijuana? How did they bring it in? Did they bring it into the country? Did they acquire it while they were there? And interestingly, also, Paris was on a trip to go to the World Cup, and she was flown in by some financier who also flew in Leonardo DiCaprio. And so they flew in together, and they actually went to the game together. But DiCaprio wasn't connected to this. I guess he was separated, and there was a picture of Jennifer and Paris, at the stadium with the field in the background. So they must have taken a shot of themselves, and then Paris posted it on her on a Twitter, maybe did a twit pic on it, and so the photo started floating around. So you kind of like, at first it wasn't clear, who was Paris with, and honestly I have to say that Slip Stern was the first, to report that Jennifer Vera was a playmate, going back 11 years to 1999, I believe, when she appeared numerous times on the cover of Playboy as a playmate, and on several issues, and then I think her Playboy career is over, but nobody seemed to know who she was at all. But this is sort of the guesswork that she took the rap.
Yeah. All right. Well, now talking about other news that happened while we were gone. Of course, California's initiative to tax and regulate cannabis got its number. It's now Prop 19. You have news of any celebrities that are endorsing Prop 19?
Well, I have, one exclusive, and that's Sting. I ran into Sting at a film screening last week for the movie 2012, Time for Change, which is a documentary that's coming out next in October. And so Sting's interviewed extensively in this documentary. He appeared at the screening in New York, and he was on stage for a Q&A afterwards. But, when I arrived, everybody was getting to their seats, and it was just before showtime. And I said to the publicist who seated me, I said, "Is Sting here?" And she turned around and said, "Yeah, he's right there." And so he was sitting on the aisle about maybe 8 rows behind me, and nobody was talking to him at the moment, so I just made a beeline. And I went right over, "Hello, Mr. Sting," and I immediately, started talking about our issues, because he's been associated with the Drug Policy Alliance lately. He's joined them. He's been in their sort of high-profile promotional video that's got a lot of attention on Fox lately. And so I talked to him about that for a minute, and, has that had any positive or negative? "Oh, it's been kind of controversial." And I said, "What do you think about, Prop 19? And he says, "Well, I think it's going to pass." So I just kind of take that as like an endorsement, to say the least. And I also am starting to talk to celebrities, and it's something that you and I and NORML and everybody else in our, in our community can start talking about. I'd like to get a celebrity event happening for Prop 19 in LA sometime in October. And so I mentioned this to Sting, if we were to hold an event, would you be interested? And he kind of shook his head, "Sure." So I told him, "I'll get in touch with Ethan Nadelman. I'll let him know." So, and it was interesting. When I mentioned Nadelman, he just put his hand out and just shook my hand like, okay, I connected with him.
Gotcha.
We had something in common, besides, "Oh, I love your music," Roxanne's the greatest song of all time, So instead of gushing about that kind of stuff, which he probably gets mostly from people, who stop and say hello to him, your music did, whatever stuff for me in my life and saved me for everything, it wasn't that kind of thing. It was more journalistic. So I'm starting to, wave the flag about this. I think it's about time that all the celebrities out in Hollywood come out of their closet and support this issue. Now's the time. Now or never. Get out there. And, there's a lot of people we know about, but what about the lesser knowns, or the people, the Cameron Diaz's and the Drew Barrymores of the world, the Misha Bartons, all of whom, have been associated with marijuana, but never really do anything, for it. They just smoke it and occasionally, get caught by paparazzi doing it. So maybe we can get a lot of these people out of the closet. And I'm making a long list, and I'm going to see if NORML, the DPA, and PP would like to all join together, and let's put together this, this glamour event, in Hollywood that'll really stir up a lot of interest. So,
that's a fantastic idea.
For that.
Yeah, it's a fantastic idea. I'm behind.
So we got to get it going, So I'm just starting. I mentioned it to Nadelman. I sent Nadelman a little. Nadelman's been on vacation, but I mentioned it to him because I wanted to sort of get the ball rolling with him. I haven't really brought it up to Alan St. Pierre yet, but I'm going to start mentioning it around. Just see, I just think if we could do it together, as all the organizations, pool all our energies and all our our contacts and, just put together a real gala, get a lot of publicity. Like Danny DeVito was on, I think Jimmy Kimmel recently, and he made a little joke about, in November, we're going to see a big change. And it was like, he was like, hint, hint, without saying it, and then Kimmel was going, yeah, I heard about that big change, like in quotes, and it was definitely, Toki, or Adrian Brody, for instance, was on, I guess also Kimmel too recently, and Damian Marley and Nas were on, and so they were introducing Damian Marley and Nas when they were kind of go out to perform, and Adrian Brody, while Kimmel is going on, let's hear it for, Adrian Brody's doing like the fake toke thing, just goofing, because hey, it's the Marleys, so all these people out there you never hear from, but they're out there doing what we are all doing, yet we never quite know who's who in the celebrity world except for a handful of Bill Maher's and Woody Harrelson's and Willie Nelson's and Cheech and Chong's. Yeah. What about everybody else? So I think it'd be nice if we could kind of like get the standard, advocates out there, like I just mentioned, but get some of the other people, lesser, maybe more famous, but lesser known or lesser public about this, and let's stir it up. So that's my sort of my mantra right now, is to try and get people involved in an event that that would be sponsored by all of us.
That's a fantastic
try and get
idea. And I think we can
in one place.
Get people involved.
And then we just have to sort of put together whatever it takes financially to make it happen. So it's in a place where people can all be together, and maybe whoever place would throw it as far as a freebie. So the minimal costs. Just bring everybody together in one place. It'd be awesome. I mean, the media would go nuts.
Oh yeah, and we can encourage all of our listeners out there to email your favorite celebrities, find their contact information, tell them you love them, and say, hey, get down with Prop 19. Now, we're running a little low on time here, but I want to make sure we get this in. There was a Jerry Garcia night for the San Francisco Giants. Tell us about that.
Well, it's coming upon the 15th year of Jerry's death, which was August 9th, 1995. Jerry's birthday is August 1st, so it's coming right around the corner. So, it's kind of like Jerry Week in San Francisco generally, or, for deadheads all over the world, during that time to commemorate, his life, and passing. And so the Giants, who are got to be the coolest baseball team out there, have announced the Jerry Garcia night for August 9th, the night of his death. And what's so fun is that they're going to have a Jerry Garcia section. You could sit with all your fellow deadheads, and you get a Jerry bobblehead. And they're going to have like a cover band playing, and there's a VIP thing if you want to go really crazy with meet and greets with Bob Weir and Mickey Hart. Bob Weir's going to sing the national anthem. Mickey Hart's going to do some, like 5,000 kazoos playing the Take Me Out to the Ball game, or as we like to say, Take Me Out to the Bong game.
Yeah.
And it just sounds like a blast. I mean, maybe I'll take some frequent flyer miles and I'll just get my butt out there because it sounds like too much fun.
Sounds like fun. And last thing here before we let you go, Steve, I know your book is coming out soon, Reefer Movie Madness. Tell folks about it.
Yeah, thanks for allowing me to hype. Reefer Movie Madness, the ultimate stoner film guide. Shirley Halpern and I have, spent the last year and a half, 2 years as our follow-up book to Pot Culture. We sat around and watched over 500 movies, put together, reviews of all these movies, plus, fun sidebars and lists like dealer dudes and stoner chicks and Bud Buddies and all kinds of fun things like that. Plus lots of celebrity interviews like we did in Pop Culture, celebrities talking about their favorites. And it's broken down into multiple sections. A big, long opening comedy section, which is, so the book, just so people understand, it's not just about marijuana and pot in the movies. It's about drugs in the movies through the years, starting with Reefer Madness, or even going before that. I mean, there's like Cocaine Fiends going back to 1929, which is the Reefer Madness of cocaine movies. And it kind of starts from there and just kind of takes you through the eras. But pretty much, it's not done chronologically. It's done alphabetically through sections. So you have the comedy section, the drama section, an action section, a documentary section, a fantasy, sci-fi section, and 7 or 8 sections in the book. So it's broken down like that. So we're very excited about it. The book's coming out in October from our same publisher, Abrams. We're going to get out there. I'm going to be at all the expos promoting the book, doing signings and stuff like that. Hopefully doing some presentations about the history of drugs and pot in the movies. Might even do one at the NORML conference. I'm talking to Alan St. Pierre about that, and putting that together for stuff that we could do at these different expos and maybe even at film festivals if we're so invited, to do a big presentation around this whole overall subject of marijuana and drugs in the movies throughout the ages.
Oh, that sounds
pretty
fantastic.
Much what the book's about. I mean, it pretty much has everything in it.
All right, well, Reefer Movie Madness is the book from Steve Bloom at celebstoner.com. Check out the website, celebstoner.com. You'll get all the information you need on getting that book. We're back with Alan St. Pierre and the NORML National Conference right after this.
You're listening to NORML Show Live, the voice of the Marijuana Nation.
Ever wonder how often to change your bong water? The most effective method for making pot brownies? The best destinations for a ganja getaway? How to hide herb in your car? Whether to grow your own? How precisely to legalize it? Or how something as wonderful as marijuana ever got to be illegal in the first place? Finally, you can find all these answers and much more in the official High Times Pot Smoker's Handbook, featuring 420 things to do when you're stoned. Since 1974, High Times magazine has covered marijuana in all its aspects and wonders, from cultivation to legalization to the herb's enduring and exalted place in popular culture. Packed with inside information, the official High Times Pot Smoker's Handbook rolls all of this collected wisdom together into a single indispensable ganja guide, including an entertaining look at marijuana's history, profiles of herb-friendly travel destinations and festivals, favorite potluck recipes from the High Times staff, smoking skills, advocacy and activism, essential marijuana movies and songs, profiles of famous cannabis strains, comprehensive growing information, celebrity endorsements, and much more. This is truly, finally, the ultimate guide to green living.
Founded in 1970, the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws is the oldest, largest, and most popular lobby of cannabis users in the world. From our Washington, D.C. offices, we lobby our federal government. And from our chapters nationwide, we lobby our state and local governments to end the war on American citizens who choose to use cannabis responsibly. We take you now to our nation's capital for a visit with Executive Director Alan St. Pierre and a look at this month in NORML. Welcome back, everyone. 51 after the hour, and we are announcing the launch of the conference page for the NORML National Conference 2010, which is Just Say Now, right here in beautiful Portland, Oregon, or as we like to call it, Potland, Oregon, September 9th through the 11th, 2010, right here in Portland. We've got Alan St. Pierre, the Executive Director of NORML, joining us. Alan, welcome to the show. Alan, welcome back to the show. Glad to have you here. I was just filling people in on the dates for the conference, and I suppose you can give them more information.
Hey, Russ. Absolutely. This is going to be NORML's 39th annual conference, and we look to be one of our biggest and best. And the theme, absolutely, positively this year, is Just Say Now.
It is the time. We're seeing all the polls rising. The latest Survey USA poll in California for Prop 19 has 50% support, 40% against. The state of Oregon here, we just got a dispensary measure okayed on the ballot. It is official. We will be voting on it. So it's like a tsunami of change originating out here on the West Coast. What are some of the panels and some of the things people can expect if they come out to this year's conference?
Oh, we'll have a plethora of different items. We will stay with the model we've had for the last 3 years with a 3-day conference, with the last day of the conference being a medical cannabis day only, meaning that we're looking at the medical cannabis industry, the laws associated with it, new findings regarding the applications of medical cannabis and cannabinoids. So there are some who are really acutely only have an interest to follow that. But most of the people who come to a NORML conference certainly are more interested in the larger topic of legalization and activism. So this year we have a number of topics that comport with our title, and one of them certainly is a panel that looks at the taxation and controlling of cannabis. 1 year after the last NORML conference, there's a number of states and municipalities that are actually taxing medical cannabis now and are talking about moving towards taxing cannabis as a whole. So that is going to be well vetted. The NORML's Women's Alliance, which launched earlier this year, will be having one of its first public panels, and it's picking up on the theme that a lot of us talked about last fall, and the name of that panel is Stiletto Stoners, Not Women, Cannabis, and Respect, and really want to vet these issues that women have regarding cannabis, being activists, and, you know, if you will, the grass ceilings they still have to go through. Then we're going to do a panel that I'm really looking forward to. It's called Ask the Experts, everything you ever wanted to ask about cannabis. I think most people realize when you have a NORML conference, you probably have one of the greatest brain trusts in the world of people who individually are experts in a facet of marijuana, in marijuana law reform, the law, botany, cultivation, and we're going to put a panel together where I don't think it's possible to stump the panel.
No kidding. Now, I know you are a fly fisherman and a fan of microbrews, so I know you've got to be excited about coming to the Pacific Northwest here for the conference. Tell our listeners about some of the stuff they can do aside from the panels, some of our events that we'll be having, and so on.
Well, beyond the wonking out at NORML conference, this is also the same weekend as Hemp Stock, which is the biggest public event, biggest protestival, shall we say, out in Oregon every year at Kelly State Point Park, and it is a great side event that we'll be working with. With great weather, there is so much to do and see. In fact, all you have to do is get up on any hill or any rooftop and look dead to the east and see one of the most amazing mountains on the North American continent and realize just how cool Portland is in terms of its scenery. Microbrews, like you mentioned, along with Denver, there may be no other place in the United States that has more microbreweries and wine. We are getting there right about the time as wine comes to harvest and a lot of wine festivals and whatnot. And so, I think of Portland as a very Dionysian city. There are many, many wonderful delights. Chocolates, coffees, teas, all of these are world-class in an incredibly walkable city. The hotel itself is an amazing historic landmark hotel. Both hotels, the Overflow Hotel and the Principal Hotel, are within the free district of the transit line, so you don't need any money or a ticket to jump on a train and go to almost all the social events associated with the conference. And we're not sure where the Friday night party is, but we're pretty sure it's going to be on a rooftop in an open-air environment, and we're looking forward to great musical entertainment.
Yeah, and harvest. Did you say harvest? I believe there is harvesting going on in Portland around that time. Should be a great
That's
time.
Just about right.
Yeah, it should be a great time for everyone. And as a local here in Portland, I can assure you, if you fly in for this conference, you don't need to rent a car. Do not rent a car. You can take the train right from the airport for $2 to get all the way downtown. And once you're downtown, you're in that free zone, and you can go all around the downtown, not just on the main MAX line, but we also have a streetcar line, and the buses are all fare free within what they call Fareless Square, which is a large segment of the downtown area. Plenty to see, plenty to do, and we'll be having a special invite-only party for some of our NORML Show Live regular listeners at right here at NORML Show Live media headquarters here in my beautiful basement. So we'll have a party here as well.
Who could pass up that chance?
Yeah, how would you want to pass that up? All right, so Alan, the conference registration stuff is online right now at norml.org at our front page. Registration's available for the entire 3 days, for just the Thursday, Friday, or just the Saturday. There's also the NORML fundraising party that will probably be on Friday night that people can register for. It's all right up there at norml.org. The Governor's Hotel is sold out, but the good news is the Red Lion, which is our overflow hotel, has negotiated with us a reduced rate, so you can get in there for a good rate. And Alan St. Pierre, Executive Director of NORML in Washington, D.C., you'll be out here as well as most of the NORML staff. I assume it'll be a great time. And thanks again for joining us here on the show.
My pleasure. Looking forward to it. Thanks so much, Russ.
All right. And I know Alan's going to be bringing out his fly fishing pole. He'll probably get on the Willamette sometime, I'm sure. Hey, everybody, thanks for the great week coming back here from vacation and for understanding my need to take one. It's been great being back here. Ganja John is healing. He will be back on the show as well as soon as possible. He told me he's confirmed his order for the leather eye patch with the pot leaf on it, so that'll be kind of cool. If you got any tips or tricks or suggestions, comments for the show, please email us at stash@normal.org. We'll be glad to talk to you. Next week, all sorts of great stuff coming up. Dr. Mitch Earlywine, Danny Danka with Cultivation, and plenty more. For everyone here at normal.org, and I'm Radical Russ, thanks for joining us, and until next time, take care of each other, tokers. There may be some interruption in the stream while I'm gone.
This is Normal Show Live, the voice of the Marijuana Nation.
We'll be setting up at the Benson Hotel, so I may have to take the system down for a little bit while we travel. Should be back online by 4:30 Pacific time. Check it out. Legalization of marijuana in Oregon. Presentation at 4:45 Pacific. Take it easy, tokers. Have a good weekend.
Want more than just your Normal Show Live? Get your daily fix of marijuana news and interviews on the Normal Daily Audio Stash, the weekday podcast available on iTunes and at stash.normal.org.